Hello everyone, this is Abhishek Saraf, All India Rank 8th UPSC Civil Service Exam 2019, and today I would like to elaborate and discuss the strategy that I adopted for prelims preparation. You see, people say that prelims is a matter of luck, it is a very tough nut to crack, but personally I have been on both sides of the exam. I failed to clear my prelims 2015 by a margin of 16 marks, and in 2017 I cleared my prelims by a margin of 33 marks. So 16 marks is not a matter of luck, neither is 33 marks. So what I changed, what strategy did I adopt, and how it impacted my result, the result that I just disclosed. That is the thing that I would like to discuss today. So without much further ado, let's get right to it. See, the standard book list for prelims is very simple. It is available on several blogs and you don't have to deviate much from it. That is the first point that I would like to make. This exam does not require much innovation. It requires consistency, it requires sincerity, and it requires dedication. So my first advice to any candidate would be to go online and research the standard book list that has to be followed, and that is it. The first step is done. Second thing that I would like to emphasize is that I made my own self notes. I did not rely on any material that comes a couple of months before the exam and claims to cover the entire years of current affairs. See, the reason I did that was because personally, it happens with me that the slower I study, the longer I retain things. If I make my own notes, I internalize things, and it stays with me for much longer time. So that is why I made my own notes. I will elaborate on how I made my notes, but the second point was that make your own notes. That is what I did. Then it is a well-known fact that prelims requires you to retain a lot of factual information in your short-term memory. And that informs the objective questions that you'll solve, either by directly picking out the right answer or by adopting strategies of elimination. So short notes and collection of factual information that helps you to solve questions, that helps you to revise material very quickly, because you'll have to rely on your short-term memory. You will have to cover a lot of content right before the prelims, like 1 month before the prelims or 2 months before the prelims, depending on your comfort level, but you'll have to cover a lot of content. So it is not possible to flip through pages of books. So you have to prepare short notes for prelims. But that does not mean that you have to prepare short notes for anything and everything that you study for prelims. That has to be done based on your comfort level as well as your personal customized strategy. And one thing that I did differently was the rule of thumb that I followed, that during the entire year before the prelims, you have to solve 6,000 MCQ questions. 6,000 questions. And this is not just one test series. This does not have to be done in just 1 month. It will be done during the entire year. So in nutshell, these 4 things: standard book list followed with consistency, self notes for current affairs, as well as short notes, collection of factual information, and 6,000 MCQs. That has to be done for the entire year for the prelims. So coming to the syllabus wise book list that I followed, it is available on any and every website. It is much like any other selected candidate. It does not deviate much. What you do is differently, but the book list that you do follow is pretty much the same. So Ancient India by Mr. Ram Sharan Sharma's old NCERT, Medieval India by Mr. Satish Chandra, old NCERT, Modern India by Spectrum, pretty much the standard book that is, and Geography, class 9th to class 12th NCERT, and GC Leong. And that has to be complemented with online videos. Why? Because sometimes you face trouble in understanding those concepts. The language of the book might not be that amenable to you. So what you do is you go online, and for that you find several blogs and videos and explanatory videos like the ones I found for several concepts of geography. A few videos posted by Unique IAS were also quite helpful. So that comes through online searches. Random online searches have to be done by every student, and depending on the content that they want to understand. Polity was covered by Lakshmikant, pretty much the standard book. And once again, I supplemented that with online content and videos, because sometimes you're not able to understand the concepts of polity, and sometimes some content is not covered in Lakshmikant book. So you go online, you do searches, and sources like Insights, IS Baba, Civils Daily, Unique IS Material, they were quite helpful. The content that was posted online by these websites that I just mentioned are quite helpful. Economy, I studied Ramesh Singh to develop my basic concepts of economy. That book will come handy to you during your preparation. But that is not the only exclusive book. You can go for any book as long as it covers the basic concepts. Internet searches like Mrunal sir's blog that was there. It covered basic concepts very well. In fact, to this day, whenever I want to study CPI, WPI, IIP, I directly go to Mrunal sir's blog. So, and like I mentioned, no one coaching provides you enough material. No one source provides you enough material. That is the beauty of this exam, that you have to develop your own material, you have to study your own material, and you have to do online searches. So various sources like YouTube videos, unique IAS material, Insights, Civils Daily, IAS Baba, Mrunal sir's blog, all these material combined and customized as per your comfort level will enable you to develop the knowledge base for prelims, and that is what I did. So coming to the environment, Shankar IAS's class notes, quite common, and Shankar IAS's book that comes in the market. Now UPSC has been orienting the exam in such a way that the emphasis in environment is more on current affairs and conventions and international bodies. So the last few chapters of that book were something that I found most relevant, and I used to refer to those books. And once again, Google searches, internet, YouTube videos, and Gaurav Marvasa's blog and the content that is hosted by Unique IAS Online, they were quite helpful for various topics of prelims and mains. Art and culture, Nitin Singhania sir's handwritten notes, as well as internet searches, Google images. You know, art and culture is kind of a static topic. So if you complement the material that you read with Google images, that helps you use your picture memory to be able to recall the content that you read. So whatever content you read, I did Nitin Singhania sir's handwritten notes, that has to be complemented with Google images, as well as the content hosted by various websites, and I've already mentioned the websites that I use. Like I mentioned, in current affairs I made my own notes, and those notes have to be made all the year round, every day, and the sources that I followed were Insights on India, Civils Daily, IAS Baba, and then they were complemented by random Google searches for things that I could not understand, or for things that I wanted to understand in deeper depth. So the material hosted by Unique IAS or several coachings that were quite helpful. Science and technology. Now any persistent candidate knows that usually it was recommended that science and technology has to be covered from NCERTs, but these days UPSC has been orienting the exam to cover more current affairs in science and technology. So I would recommend people to do Google searches, develop their basic concepts in topics like nanotechnology, biotechnology, or space science, defense, whatever it is. Once you develop your basic concepts, all you have to do is to cover the current affairs. You can use any source you want. I did Insights, IAS Baba, and Civils Daily, and then random searches to find the concepts that I could not understand. And sometimes the videos hosted by Unique IAS as well as the recommendations on YouTube were quite helpful. Then coming to the crux, like I mentioned, that you have to make your own notes. So for that you have to learn how to read the newspaper, right? The first thing that you need to do to make relevant notes is to review the previous year's questions. That will enable you to understand and pick out the relevant content, the prelims worthy content, or mains worthy content, or interview worthy content when you read the newspaper. So first review the paper, previous year's paper, and keep an eye out for prelims worthy content in the newspaper. For example, I might add that on international affairs page, sometimes in an article about Middle East, you might find a line that Arab Spring initiated in Tunisia in 2011. Now that line might not be very relevant for mains point of view, but it can occur as a question in prelims on any day, on any year. So these are the things that you have to keep in mind while reading the newspaper, because you review the paper, you understand that these kind of things are asked, and you keep an eye out while reading the newspaper. Then I mentioned that you have to optimize your time, get maximum productivity and output of your time from your time while you do anything regarding civil service exam or any other endeavor. What I did was I followed websites like Insights on India, Civils Daily, IAS Baba Daily. They host daily current affairs, and those were used for making notes for mains as well as for prelims. I made separate notes for prelims and mains, and we'll get into that later. But these are the three websites that I follow daily for current affairs, editorials, as well as quizzes. 5 questions every day on each of these 3 websites: Insights, Civils Daily, IAS Baba. So these are the things that I did for developing my body of knowledge, my content in current affairs. Then you have to complement these things with Google searches for things, and oftentimes videos by selected candidates, blogs of toppers, and blogs of several mentors from coaching institutes come in handy. Like Gaurav Marwasar's blog came in quite handy for me regarding understanding concepts. And those were basically based on Google searches and random suggestions by YouTube. Then the newspapers that I followed were The Hindu and Indian Express. And the reading that I did from those newspapers were customized regarding the requirement of the exam. Like I mentioned, during reading the newspaper, you have to keep an eye out for things that might be asked in the prelims.